Good evening, folks. What's going on? It's the pastor. Facebook Live with the pastor on a Monday night. And I hope we can get some folks on tonight. It would be really great. I kind of figured this would be the first one in. The clowns would show up right away. That's why I put it in the status that when the clowns show up, and they will, ignore them. This ain't the circus. So I just want to wish everybody good evening. Hoping everybody's had a wonderful Monday. Had some things I want to talk about. Please share this out. I hope that our visitors, our illustrious visitor, decides to come in peace and not be disruptive. Because as a matter of fact, I got a couple of lines at the end of this live that deals with how those who can't deal with things get disruptive. So we shall see. We shall see. But I'm going to put on some music right quick. Y'all please share this out. This is a song called The Fighter. Good tune. Really good tune. Welcome to Facebook Live with the pastor. Melissa, how are you? Alyssa, how are you doing? Good to see you. Lee Nails. Song called The Fighter. They just waiting to see me fail. Good song. Please share this out. Let me see if my tag button is working tonight. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Of course it isn't. Of course it isn't. But that's all right. Give them hell. When the referee rings the bell, when their both eyes start to swell, be all right. Again, good evening, good evening. This is one of them nights I really hate that I have to do what I gotta do, but that's one thing folks know about me. I'm a fighter. And I give people, as they say, enough rope to hang themselves. I let things go. Pretty laid back. I try not to have to address things, but when I do, sometimes it comes time and you gotta fight. You gotta fight. Yes. Latoya, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for checking in. I appreciate it. Y'all please share this out. I see we got a few people on. And I'm probably not going to leave the whole song on because I want to jump right into this. But the song is entitled The Fighter. When the crowd goes home, what we gonna do? We gonna give them hell. Some people just don't believe mess stink. And they take kindness for weakness. And you know, I used to be that person back in the day when I was like reactionary all the time. But I guess as I got older and I mellowed out a bit, you know, I decided that, you know, all that quick reactionary thing, it ain't necessary until it's necessary. And this is one of them times when it's necessary. Because for a while, we've had this clown, this white supremacist, this racist, this bigot, who just feels as if he can say and do anything, and he breathes and he thrives on people's lies, on telling people lies who don't know the truth. So I'm gonna fight this fight tonight by sharing the truth about this line. I ain't gonna say what I could have said, because I ain't like I used to be. You're going to realize you've been in a fight tonight. Straight up. A fight that I'm going to wage with the truth. Nothing but the truth and the whole truth. And in the status, you'll see, I put a whole bunch of links there so that you can verify exactly what I'm saying. I don't operate like him talking about, well, they said this and they said that. And they said it anonymously, and I couldn't share their names or nothing like that. No, I'm putting links down so you can follow exactly what I'm talking about whenever you want to. and know that I'm speaking truth to power. That's the bottom line. That's why I'm here to clear the air. And I'm here to clear the air because I see people who are being deceived. Just like that clown in the White House has got a whole set of our nation deceived through his lies. He lies and people just receive that and carrying on. And this clown is doing the same thing right here in the Low Country. And it seems like he's gotten a little traction with Democrats and others around here. People who like to read his smut and then share it with other people. And I guess take it as fact, context or whatever. I don't know. But tonight's live, and I'm going to do most of this reading off of my script because I really don't want to miss nothing. I might have to take my glasses off so I can see. But as a matter of fact, I'm going to do that. Let me just be down right with it right now, okay? Tonight's live is about a clown that I've known. I keep using that name. I guess I shouldn't call him that. This guy that I've known for years now, probably close to 10 years now, not cordially at all. Never been cordial, okay? His name is James Tyler Bessenger, and he is the demented mind behind the online smut publication, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, called the Carolina Courier, okay? Better, Carolina Cackling. I put the definition of cackling in there. That's why I use that term in there. Cackling, gossip, trivial talk, pointless chatter. And when people don't know that they're listening to pointless chatter, they will believe that pointless chatter. And that's what he banks on. When the majority of the content that he's putting out has come out of the demented recesses of his mind, just like that guy in the White House, because they know that there are people who want to hear this and they're going to latch on to it and share it out. And that validates what he's saying every time that they share it out. Every time. So this ain't fake news tonight. I'm down with it. I'm down with the truth, okay? James Tyler Bessenger. Tonight, a portrait of one big bogus butthurt bigot. One big bogus butthurt bigot. And the source, according to Bessenger, that some are using as a valid reference to prove a point about me, okay? My friends, James J.T. Bessenger is nothing more than a white supremacist and a pathological liar. That's summing him up totally. And although I intentionally ignore his content, that trash that he shares 99% of the time, the same way I've avoided smut magazines throughout my life, I've decided that I need to introduce him, the man behind the lies, to all who don't know him like I know him, okay? And the shallow shell of a man who I'm going to describe tonight is a man that many who have been in the streets with me for years know. So there are people who have been in the streets who know him just like I know him and will verify exactly what I'm saying to know that I'm not playing, that I'm telling the truth, okay? Now, I know that I don't have to do this, nor do I need to do this. And this is definitely not the defense of my character, okay? Those who know the truth about me, period. But I want to make sure the general public knows exactly what they're dealing with when they're quoting him and reading him and sharing his trash. That way you can all make an informed decision about him, not just blindly believing whether he is a credible messenger or not, whether he's a serious journalist, or is he just another lying, manipulative, racist, white supremacist, just like the current occupant of the White House? Now, to my Democratic friends out here who are reading this trash and passing on this uncorroborated information from a source who is as credible as Donald Trump, just because you mistakenly think he's a credible source, you need to pay attention tonight. What you're passing on probably isn't true. And that's a fact, Jack. Y'all please share this out. I'd love to get some more people on here as we share this truth, okay? But when you share it, my fellow Democrats, when you share it, thinking that it's fact or real, what you're doing is you're validating what he's putting out. Reading and sharing trash without question, you are putting your stamp of approval on it by sharing it to other people. Probably because you don't know no better. But tonight you're going to learn. You're going to learn tonight. All right? And it's a darn shame that allegedly Democrats are using this bigot's lie-laced rhetoric to discredit someone whose record of service over 25 years speaks for itself. And anyone else who is sharing his content as if it's coming from a reputable source is sharing content from a butthurt, bigoted, pathological liar. Just that simple. And I don't care if he getting mad or not. Really, don't make me no difference whatsoever. I come from the streets. Just because I'm a pastor now don't mean I ain't still street. All right? Don't get it twisted. Oh, and you know, if folks ain't giving him the white glove test, don't give me the white glove test tonight, okay? Take what I got to say tonight and run with it, you know. But also, as I said, I've shared the links already to prove what I'm saying is the truth. Now, many who have been in the streets with me for the last 10 years do not understand why so many of those out there who are not in the streets with us will read and follow and pay attention to the Carolina Courier, the Carolina Cackling, okay, and anything else that Bessenger writes. And I have to remind them then that most of those who are now somewhat active in the social justice realm have only gotten involved over the last few years or so. So they are unaware of the history of the man behind the Carolina Courier. And that's why I felt it was important for me to give everyone some background on who Tyler Bessenger is, what he is, and why he does what he does. It's just that simple. So who is he? Who is he? James Tyler Bessenger, Bessenger. It's correct spelling, not the I, okay? He says that somewhere along the way, I guess there was a misspelling or something like that done with the Social Security Administration with a great-great-great-great-grandfather, somebody back there, whatever. That's how his got changed from the more famous racist Maurice Bessenger in Colombia, who the rest of the Bessenger barbecue people they stopped associating with him. But I digress. I know his arrest record says Bessenger, you know. Also known as Tyler Bessenger, JT, James Tyler Bessenger, also known as Tyler Bessenger or JT Bessenger. And his latest online smut publication, as I've said, is called the Carolina Courier. Prior to this, he had another publication online called the Contemporary Conservative. Same guy, different name, same trash. All righty. Now, prior to that, Bessenger was founder and former head of the South Carolina Secessionist Party. I'm going to talk more about that in a little while. The South Carolina Secessionist Party. You know, that's that Make America Great, I guess. I don't know. But what is Bessenger, okay? I want you to just breathe this in, what I'm getting ready to say about James Tyler Bessenger, okay? James Tyler Bessenger is a Confederate flag waving, Proud Boy loving, gay MAGA Republican, Trump loving, January 6th insurrectionist, a racist white supremacist, and the least credible journalist on the internet, unless you consider Donald Trump a journalist. I'm going to say it again. See, he was in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. Him and his homeboy, Corey Allen. His last name is Whittington, okay? Corey Whittington. They were in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, 2021. Yeah. A Confederate flag waving, Proud Boy loving, gay MAGA Republican, Trump loving, J6 insurrectionist, a racist white supremacist. That's who he is. And again, the least credible journalist on the internet, unless you consider Donald Trump a journalist, okay? He's a pathological liar in the same vein with Donald Trump. a spin doctor who fabricates stories and twists truth and images now, because he'll alter images too, in order to prove any lie that he's telling. And as I just said, though, he was the founder and former head of the South Carolina Secessionist Party. The South Carolina Secessionist Party. Bessenger started the Secessionist Party, South Carolina Secessionist Party, I think in the summer of 2014. And its ranks grew, actually. The Secessionist Party. These are your textbook white supremacists, militia and all them people, okay? All joined this organization. And after starting it in 2014, between 2014, his online presence, okay, between 2014 and 2017, it grew to anywhere between 25,000 followers that he had to about maybe 40,000. Racists, militia members, white supremacists, and bigots. 25,000 to 40,000, somewhere in there, followers of James Tyler Bessenger. That's going to be key. Again, racist, militia, white supremacists, bigots, just all of that was the South Carolina Secessionist Party. Summer of 2014 when he started. 2015, right? After the massacre of 9 black Christians inside of Mother Emanuel by a white supremacist and a racist, all right? Bessenger and his South Carolina Secessionist Party members, they started doing this thing called these Confederate flaggings down on the Battery, okay? And the bodies of these 8 Christians who died at the gun of a white supremacist because of racial hatred, they thought it was a good idea to go down to the Battery, 2 miles from Mother Emanuel, and every weekend have these big Confederate flags waving and everything. When Dylann Roof killed those black folks up under the banner of the Confederate flag. So they started doing that thing every week down there, him and the Secessionist Party. And they kept that up for years, okay? But that just shows you just how despicable they are, just how much disdain they have for people of color. They really didn't care. Bessenger really didn't care about the deaths that occurred in Mother Emanuel. All he wanted to do was make his statement with his Confederate flag, okay? Respect my Confederate flag, even though my Confederate flag was the flag flown by a man who murdered 9 Christians in church after they welcomed him in and sat with Bible study for an hour, like good Christians would do. That was 2015 when they started doing that. Now, I'm going to fast forward a couple of years to 2017, okay? Some of y'all have seen the picture of my good friend Mujahideen Dabaha, right? When he snatched that Confederate flag from Bessenger's hand. That was Bessenger down there in front of the Satilli Theater with this big old Confederate flag again. And Mujahideen, I guess he decided, okay, I'm about tired of this foolishness. And he ran across the street, jumped up and snatched it out of Bessenger's hands as Bessenger did like this here, okay? Coward, not C-O-W-A-R-D, but C-O-W-E-R-E-D, or the other way around, whatever you want to do, all right? The video, link to that video is also in the status that I posted already, okay? And then that was February 2017. 4 months later, in June of 2017, Bessenger, with his boys down there on the Battery again, shared a photo on Facebook of 2 innocent black children wearing Confederate flag stickers without their mother's permission. And he got caught, okay? He captioned the post, I guess on social media, I don't know exactly where, but on social media, spreading the love of all our Southern brothers and sisters. Wow. Put him on 2 little black kids, okay? That link is also the link to the article. It's a ABC News 4 article. The link is in the status. So you know that I'm not making anything up as I go along. So that was in June of 2017. I'm going to come back to that in a minute, okay? But beginning in June of 2020, in the aftermath of George Floyd, Bessenger, along with his crony, Corey Whittington, Corey Allen, and this other dude, Randall Horace, and this old coot, Alan Dobson and Shaquem, okay, I'm gonna put his name out there, Shaquem too, and others, they regularly stalked peaceful Black Lives Matters protesters in the aftermath of George Floyd. I mean, literally stalked, trying to harass and I guess get people triggered so that something would have happened that did not happen. Because Black Lives Matter protesters in Charleston were relatively peaceful people, period. The only ones that was causing any trouble was the same ones it always is. Tyler Bessenger, Corey Allen, and all them other clowns, all right? Just like he's doing right now with the Carolina cackling, all right? So, in December 2020 now, that same year, December 2020, that group, Corey Allen, Bessenger, Randall Horace, the former city councilman Harry Griffin, right? They invited the Proud Boys to a rally in Charleston, right outside of City Hall in Charleston, right at the Four Corners. Proud Boys now, okay? So that tells you what he cares about black people, or what he thinks about black people. This despicable, you know? And I'm not lying about any of this. It's all documented. I've produced the links to support it. I'm not like him, just make wild accusations and don't give any support for them. I'm telling you, you can look for yourself and see. As a matter of fact, I said I was going to go back to 2017, right? With the two little boys, the two little kids. And I'm going to just talk about that, what happened June 24th, 2017. Down at White Point Gardens, down there at the Battery that day, okay? Now that day, again, June 24th, 2017, a black mother took her two children, two boys, aged 7 and 8 at the time, down to White Point Gardens on the Battery in Charleston for a picnic, okay? Took her 7 and 8-year-old two boys down to the picnic, down to the Battery for a picnic. And at the same time now, Bessenger and the members of the South Carolina Secessionist Party were there with their Confederate flags. Okay, were there with their Confederate flags. Now, in their curiosity, okay, these is kids, okay, they see them with these flags and carrying on over there. In their curiosity, when the children saw the flags and the men holding them, they asked their mother if they could go see what was going on. And of course, the mother never imagined anyone would do anything off color or nefarious to her 7 and 8-year-old little boys, her kids. So she let them go. She let them go see what was going on with the people with the flags. So the children walked a short distance to where Bessenger and his people were. And while they were there, while the kids were there, Bessenger and the flaggers with the South Carolina Secessionist Party, they put Confederate flag stickers on the children. On the 7 and 8-year-old little black boys. They put Confederate flag stickers on them and took a picture of the two boys. Then they posted the kid's photo, this photo, to Facebook with hashtags like Dixie Rising, hashtag Dixie Rising, hashtag Teach the Youth the Truth. They posted this picture on their social media page of these two little black boys wearing these Confederate flags. Kid and carrying on. Those slogans referring to Bessenger's Secessionist Party's efforts to defend the Confederacy and the Confederate flag. But later on that day now, because mother didn't have any idea of any of this. Later on that day, the mother, who knew nothing about it, was alerted by comments made on her own Facebook page that photos of her children wearing these Confederate flags were on social media. And some of the comments that she read called the images disturbing and disgusting. We as black people, now somebody heard how our response to the clown in the White House sharing the 8 little video, okay? We ain't too cool on that stuff. And we ain't too quiet on it either. So they posted these two little kids on their Facebook page with these stickers on them, Confederate flag stickers on them, with the tag saying, teach the youth the truth. Without this mother's permission. This mother heard about it through people commenting on her Facebook page about how disgusting and disturbing it was. And also while raising questions about her parenting, asking where was the children's guardian when the photo was taken? Wow. Wow. Mm-mm-mm. And, but see, apparently Bessenger thought twice about what he had done that day, and he pulled down the photo. He deleted it off of Facebook. But how many of y'all know it's sometimes it's too late, okay? The photo had been screenshot already and forever preserved his inhumanity and his people's inhumanity when they did that to those little children without that, especially without that mother's permission. Now, this happened again on June 24th, 2017. 1 year later, in April of 2018, 1 year later, a lawsuit was filed against Bessenger and the South Carolina Secessionist Party by that black mother. Okay. Took her a year to make her mind up. She was afraid. She was afraid of people like Bessenger and them. That's why I'm telling you, she can't fear them. Can't fear them. But one day she decided, she said, this is what she said. She said, somewhere along the way, because stuff doesn't go away on the internet, somewhere along the way, my kids might see this picture and other kids will make fun of them or whatever. And I want them to know that their mother fought for them. Their mother stood up and fought for them. So in April of 2018, 1 year after it happened, a lawsuit was filed against James Tyler Bessenger and the South Carolina Secessionist Party by that black mother, with attorney Roy Willie, the same one that's representing Mayor Greg Habib and Chief Roscoe in Goose Creek right now, attorney Roy Willie representing the family, and with me as the family liaison or the family representative. The link for this is in the status, okay? I'm not lying. And the link is right there. You can see for yourself. Now, just like with this Goose Creek thing, when the lawsuit was filed, Bessenger laughed, okay? And said it was a waste of time. Bessenger told the Post and Courier the lawsuit was ridiculous, and he doubted the suit would go anywhere, just like he said about this Goose Creek one, right? Again, the link to the Post and Courier article is right here in my status. You can read it for yourself, all righty? But 1 year later, remember, this incident happened June 24, 2017. In April of 2018, that's when the lawsuit was filed. 1 year later, in February of 2018, let me see, I got my dates a little bit messed up, 2019. In February of 2019, the verdict came in, okay? The verdict came in. There's a link also, I keep saying it, there's a link there also to the verdict, okay? What was the verdict? After Bessenger said, oh, it's ridiculous and I doubt if the suit will go anywhere. Here's what happened in the verdict, okay? Bessenger was ordered, first off, to dissolve all of the South Carolina Secessionist Party's online assets and organizing power, virtually ending Bessenger's organization. At that point, from the voice of that judge, ending 25,000 to 40,000 of his followers and all of the status and fame and glory he had as a white supremacist. Shut it down right then and there. That was step one. Bessenger was ordered to pay $1,000 because he ain't had no money, $1,000 to the Charleston NAACP. How ironic, okay? And then they get this, okay? And that's why he does these online publications, because he can't start another organization. You feel me? And here's why. The judge ordered, if Bessenger ever decided to reactivate the group or any other group, he would have to pay a total of $3 million, $1 million each, $1 million to the mother, $1 million to the and to each of the children if he started anything back up again. You know, and whether it's a verdict or not there, James, JT, Bessie, whatever you want to call yourself, go and start another group up. Start it up. Let's try that, okay? And here's the irony. I guess he got another slap too, because according to the media report, Judge Alex Kinlaw Jr., that was the judge in the case, okay? He was the first black circuit judge ever elected for Greenville. He expressed his own frustrations that, and I quote from the judge, "We are still dealing with that kind of stuff." Remember, this was in 2019 when he did that. Basically, shutting down Bessenger, the secessionist party, and all of that, okay? There's actually a link to the video that we did following the decision, the judge's decision and everything that was handed out that sort of eliminated or wiped out Bessenger and the secessionist party in one fell swoop. Now, that's not. I've shared all of the links that are right there. That's not all the links I got, but that's the links are right there to show that I'm not lying. I'm not making anything up. And here's what I need you to understand is the nuances involved in that. Okay, I've talked about Bessenger's history. I've talked about his affinity for the Confederate flag, for white supremacy, for racism. How he thought that it was the right thing to do to go and celebrate the Confederacy after the Confederacy was one of the tenets that was behind Dylann Roof's murder of 9 black people within Mother Emanuel. That his racism when it came to 2 little 7 and an 8-year-old without their mother's permission to key and putting Confederate flag stickers on the little boys and then taking a picture and posting it up to social media. Key. And then, oh, they suing me. Oh, they stop first. They wasting their time suing me, man. I'm J.T. Bessenger. I'm white power. I'm all of this here. But the reality is, and here's the problem right there, the nuance that's the problem right there. Why every time that you see him talking or doing or anything on his little Carolina cackling thing, it's always about Dixon, okay? The reason is that, yes, Roy Willie was the attorney representing the case, but Roy Willie's white, but a good man at heart. I'm different. I'm against everything that he believes in when it talks about people being in charge. I'm a black man, and a black man with a black mother and 2 black children took him into court, and that keying and everything stopped when a black judge shut down his operation, took over 25,000 of his followers away from him in one fell swoop. One day he was famous as a racist and a white supremacist. The next day he was beat by a black man. I want that to sink in. By a black, and he's been butthurt ever since. That's why every time that you go to that thing, that Carolina Curry or whatever you want to call it, every time he got something to say, it's always about Dixon. Dixon. And he's a gay Republican, like I said. And I told him, I got a wife. I'm good. I don't have any problem with gay people at all. But I definitely, he's not my type. I don't know what the problem. I occupy more space in his head than his brains do. I don't get it. And he really should stop it. Find something else to do. Gonna talk about that in a minute too, Tyler. Yep. That's the deal, okay? This is about me. All this carrying on with the Carolina Curry and all of that. It's about me, because every time that you look there, you see some kind of caricature of me. I ain't got nothing to do with nothing. He's always talking about me. I ain't got nothing to do with nothing. It's always Dixon. This is personal, because a black man took him down. And now them 25,000 that followers that he had, them 40,000 followers that he had out there in the streets, right? In the streets. That revered him as the great white hope. Yeah. Mr. White Supremacy. Yeah. He got set down by a black man. All of that wiped out in one day. Probably laughed at him. I don't know. I don't operate in those circles and don't care to. All I know is the truth prevailed. The truth prevailed. And that's why he's doing all this typing and carrying on. That's why he's doing all this. Don't nobody care about what you're typing on here, Tyler. You've had all your chance to type on your little Substack trash that you do out there. So that's good enough. That's good. It's good enough, you know. But you can keep on typing. It's all right. Because I got some of that stuff to talk about too. Okay? Now, his methodology, what he does, okay? What he does is he targets an audience who doesn't know the source is a pathological liar. People who read that Substack thing, many of them don't know that he's a pathological liar. They don't know this history that I just shared with you. And they're going to trust the content, right? Simply because it's being shared by other Democrats and progressives, right? You got Democrats and progressives sharing this trash from this pathological liar, racist bigot who done all of that and who was in no way about building up people or celebrating democratic values, okay? His MO is to twist the truth, to take the truth to whatever degree he wants to, and he'll do it no matter whether in words, lies, images, no matter what. He'll twist images around and everything. And at the end of the day, he's still the same bigot that he's always been. Always been. And as I said, he's a spin doctor who fabricates stories and twists the truth and images in order to prove any lie that he's telling. And he lies an awful lot, folks. His accusations about anonymous Democrats, his recent things about these anonymous Democrats, I'm going to just be honest with you. Those could very well be figments of his imagination. There don't have to be no group of Democrats that come to him or whatever. It could be lying. It could be lying. Matter of fact, I hope he is. Because if we got some Democrats out here that's stupid who will partner up with, they're so angry at me that they will go run to the white supremacists of that caliber. Yeah. Oh, we got a major problem. We got a major problem. But again, his mind is so demented that he will dream up these things himself and he delivers it so convincingly to people who don't know him any better. And that's why I'm doing this tonight. Is they'll believe that. They'll believe. And he didn't really, he could have kept my name out of his mouth and I wouldn't even be here tonight probably. Okay. Unless I just got fed up of the lies and then I still address it because that's what I do. Period. No. But I want you to consider these examples, okay, from some things that he wrote in the Carolina Cackle. Okay, Cackle. All right, Courier. First off, okay, in his article, he has a picture of me. And this has been really about just showing you the lies, the inconsistencies of lies and everything, and some a little trivial, but still, lie is a lie. You know, how you know a liar? Because they lie. All right. But in his article, he has a picture actually of me that was taken around 2013. And I was in a classroom setting, talking to some younger kids and everything or whatever, in a church in North Charleston. And he captioned it this. He captioned it. He said, Thomas Dixon, chairman of the Charleston County Democratic Party. He got a big problem with that, too. You know, really. But he ain't no Democrat. I don't know why he's always worried about what the Democratic Party is doing. You know, he don't have nothing to do with the Democratic Party. As a matter of fact, he's the farthest thing from the current day Democratic. Take him back 200 years or something like that. Maybe we'll catch him back then. But now, I don't know why he's always worried about the Democratic Party other than his ulterior motives. He captioned it this. He said, Thomas Dixon, chairman of the Charleston County Democratic Party, has a criminal history that sources say traces all the way back to his days in Chicago. Period. And for the untrained or unknowing reader, that would be fact. Because he wrote it. Because they might think he's a credible witness. Or he's done his journalistic research. But the reality is this, okay? As far as me, remember, he just said, my criminal history, sources say. He's slick now. Sources say. He ain't going to tell you who the sources are, what the sources are. Because he's the source. Up here in that demented mind. Sources say it traces all the way back to his days in Chicago. Now, I left Chicago in 1985. 1985, okay? And not long after that, I wound up actually I left Chicago in 1983. And at that time, when I left Chicago, I had one misdemeanor charge during over 30 years of living in Chicago. I had lived in Chicago over 30 years at that time, and I had one misdemeanor charge when I was 20 years old. It was a disorderly conduct charge, minor drinking, drinking beer in the park. Actually, I wasn't even drinking. It was 6 cans of beer. I was the 7th person out there. I didn't even have a beer, but when 5-0 rolled up, of course, everybody going to jail. I got a disorderly conduct charge. I just said I was 20 years old. The next day I turned 21. It was the day before my birthday. 21 is legal age. I got out there drinking legally the next day. But that was the only charge I had when I was in Chicago. The only one. But he says that he has a criminal history that sources say traces all the way back to his days in Chicago. See how devious this clown is? Devious. Oh, and by the way, let's just be clear about something. Since I got out of prison, because I did wind up going to prison, I've talked about it. You all know my history. You all know my years of addiction and all of that, okay? But I came out of the prison system in 2001, right? And since 2001 coming out, what is that, 25 years now? I had one traffic ticket, I think right around 2007. One traffic ticket for speeding, which I promptly took because I did that. That's the only criminal history I have since getting out of prison in 2001. But he can't say that. He can't say that. Look his record up, okay? Look his record up, okay? Now, another example. He wrote in there, he said, Dixon says, he used a little video clip, right? A little bit, like a 2-second video clip. That Thomas Dixon says his political opponents, we can't treat them as if they're humans. Wow. He said that I said that we can't treat my political opponents as humans. The clip came, now from the video, was in an article from August 14, 2017, okay? This was the day after there was a rally on King and Calhoun. The next day there was a press conference. The rally was titled, it was actually Indivisible Charleston's rally, August the 13th, 2017. It was entitled, Stand in Solidarity with Charlottesville Vigil. Stand in Solidarity with Charlottesville Vigil. That was Saturday, August 13th, when the first vigil was held. And it was standing in support of what had happened in Charlottesville that day. The following day, we had a press conference, and that little video clip that he has on his little, the Carolina Cackle, that clip that says, that he says that I say that we can't treat my political opponents as humans, where he says that, right? That happened during the press conference the following day, okay? But at that time, I wasn't talking about nobody's political opponents or nothing like that. That Saturday, the 13th, was when Charlottesville had happened. When a young lady lost her life because of hate. And we had a vigil that night of the 13th. The next day, the 14th, was the press conference. Charlottesville at the Unite the Right rally, right? With the skinheads and all of that. Alt-right, neo-Confederates, neo-fascists, white nationalists, white supremacists, neo-Nazis, Klansmen, and far-right militia members all converged on Charlottesville to promote white nationalism and white supremacy, and to protest the removal of the Confederate monuments from the local space. That Saturday, Saturday was the 12th. I'm sorry, Saturday the 12th. This self-proclaimed white supremacist, Alex Fields Jr., deliberately drove his car into a crowd of counter-protesters, killing 32-year-old Heather Heyer and injuring 35 more peaceful protest. That was the reason why we had the vigil that night. And that's the reason why we had the press conference the following day when that little couple of second video clip that Bessenger posted in the Carolina Cackle, that's where he got it from the next day. It was a National Action Network press conference on Sunday, August 13th. Okay. And if you look, actually the link to the photo is in the status also, the link to the photo. Okay. But here are my words. Okay. And I posted words very similar on my Facebook page at that time. And I quote, this is what I wrote. In my humble opinion, driving a car into a crowd of innocent people is no different from flying an airplane into a building full of innocent people. A terrorist is a terrorist no matter what the weapon of choice. America, it's time to shut hatred and the groups that promote hatred down. And it's time to remove the flag that they rally behind from the public landscape of America once and for all. At home or in a museum, but not on America's public streets. No more permits for rallies. The evidence against treating them like civilized human beings became crystal clear yesterday. I was talking about the Nazis and the skinheads and that clown that drove into that crowd, killing 32-year-old Heather Heyer and injuring 35 more peaceful protesters when I said that there's no sense in treating them like civilized human beings. And I mean that till today. But he twisted it around to make it seem as if I was talking about political opponents. You see what we're working with now? I'm telling you this so that we will stop visiting his page, sharing that content, because every time you share his content, you putting your stamp of approval on it, saying he's a valid journalist, okay? Heather Heyer's mother, she came to Charleston several times and stood with us because we stood with her. Just recently. I mean, I got other stories I could tell about him, but just recently, January 4th of this year, okay, in the Marion Square rally for the Venezuela rally, January 4th, right, down there, January 4th. I saw him down there, and something inside of me said, let me just go and just talk to this guy or whatever. So I called him over and whatever, and I said, Listen, Tyler, I just want you to understand something. I don't have any ill feelings towards you whatsoever. No matter what you've tried to do or whatever, I don't have any ill feelings toward you. You know what the next thing that he did on the Carolina Cackler? He claimed that I apologized to him. A pathological liar. A pathological liar. That's finishing the sentence right there. A pathological liar. As I continue to finish this entire thing, okay, this entire broadcast. And I only say these things to point out the deception, okay? Straight deception. He's a liar, period. Just like Trump. Ain't no difference. So stop following behind this clown. Sharing his content. Acting like it's important. Y'all send me everything because I don't go read that mess because I know it's trash. Coming out of a demented mind. Okay? You can't trust nothing coming out of his mouth, folks. He has ulterior motives, and he's going to twist you around as much as he can. Let me keep on going, though, okay? About the owls, okay? The old white ladies, okay? He has this thing recently about the low country liberal ladies, all right? And I'm going to be very brief because and if you go after them, Tyler, I'm going to tell you, you do better not to go after them because for some reason or other, this guy feels like it's okay to pick on older people or something like that. Okay. Those that are less helpless. Okay. I ain't seen him go after like positive vibes or nothing like that. My peeps in the streets, I ain't seen him do that. Okay. And I know some of these old white ladies who will definitely go in on him. So he don't bother them no more. But this group, he done decided to latch on and pick on. You need to stop it, Tyler. You need to stop it. He called them a tightly organized activist bloc bullying everyone in their way. What kind of mess? If you knew the low country liberal ladies, they don't bully nobody. They're Democrats. They support democratic values and principles. They exercise their First Amendment right to say and do what they want to do, especially in their own spaces. Nobody has to conform to this clown. He's not in a position to tell anybody what they're supposed to do or what they shouldn't be doing. What he needs to be doing is taking care of his own self. What he needs to be doing is make sure don't nobody drop no house on him like the Wicked Witch of the West. Instead of picking on old ladies. And if any of them watching, please, I don't mean that in a derogatory fashion. Y'all know I love you, okay? But still in all of it, he uses this term owls. See, and the reason why he knows about the owls, because this new group, the low country liberal ladies, they're not the owls. They're not the owls. I've never heard them call themselves the owls. You know who the owls were? When the Confederate flaggers was down, when he was down there on that battery and carrying on with that foolishness, the counter protesters that were down there in the streets, the old white ladies that were down in the streets, they called themselves the owls. That's where that term came from. But he knew he could trigger people. He could get people fired up. This what do you call them? This block of people, bullying people. They're the owls, the old white ladies, and you got to watch out for them. They're coming for you. And that's a lie to the pits of hell. And he needs to stop doing that. I don't believe that the low country liberal, I don't believe they even know who the original owls were. But guess who does? That's why he could use that term. That's exactly why he could use that term. You know? Now, he's made all these allegations, right, about assertions about divisions within the Charleston County Democratic Party because I'm the chair, that these anonymous or miscellaneous people have jumped forward and carrying on. They're talking about me because they want me out. And I don't know what the deal is, whatever. But again, he doesn't use any names. It's all anonymous. It's one of two things. Either he has invented this group up in order to substantiate his lie, or it actually is a group. One of the two. Because I got people within the Charleston County Democrats that don't care for me especially. But I'm still doing what I know I'm supposed to do. And that's lead with leadership and unity. Okay? But, so what I haven't done though yet is to talk about these disgruntled, anonymous Democrats that he keeps using as references, okay? The liar claims that this is what those Democrats told him. This is what he claims, okay? He wrote in the Carolina Cackle, I quote, "Their story started with the 2024 Charleston County Democratic Convention." First off, this is the 2025 convention. Okay, it wasn't the 2024 convention. That's why I started to wonder seriously, is there really a group, or is this dude is he just coming off the cuff of his demented mind and talking to people who don't know no better, okay? You can go back and look at his Carolina whatever, the Cackle, for yourself, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's written right there. Their story started with the 2024, which is actually 2025, Charleston County Democratic Convention. According to these insiders, he called them insiders, right? That's when the party jumped off the rails. Remember, this dude is not a Democrat. He don't care nothing about Democrats. He's a racist. That's what he is. He's a MAGA Donald Trumper. Okay. He's talking about that's when the party jumped off the rails. One of the people that he was talking to called it a progressive coup, then laughed and said, I know how dramatic that sounds, but what else do you call it? And he says that the others agreed without exception. Somebody, he's on here, tell him to identify them other people, all of them people, any of them people. Identify them, okay? I know he won't. And I don't really care whether he does or he doesn't, because it's one of two things. It's either inside of his mind to justify his lie, or there are some real people. This, as long as you know that, okay, that's good enough, okay? But he's not going to identify him no way. It goes on to say, he went on to write, they claim The understanding going into the 2024 convention, 2025 again, convention, was that Charleston County Auditor and respected Democrat Peter Tecklenburg would be the next county party leader. Here, the MAGA bigot is talking about what was expected to come as far as leadership out of the Charleston County Democratic Party convention, Peter Tecklenburg. And instead, he went on to write, Thomas Dixon showed up with what was described as a posse nobody had seen before. This is what he wrote based on what he's claiming that these Democrats with the Charleston County Democratic Party told him. Well, bruh, they lied to you. If they did it, they lied to you. And if they didn't lie to you, you lying to us. That's all to it. A posse that like nobody had seen before, and that was in quotations, okay? And then he went on and says, when asked where this posse came from, the Democrats didn't hesitate. The people that he was supposedly talking with didn't hesitate. And they pointed at the low country liberal ladies. The owls, right? This clown need to stop it. He need to stop it. The organizations came up again and again, talking about the low country liberal ladies, the owls. Not as a casual volunteer group, but as, listen, a tightly organized activist bloc, bullying everyone in their way. Clown. These are the nicest ladies you ever want to meet. Straight up. And as far as I know, that they didn't even really attend the convention like that. And as a matter of fact, the people that were there, I mean, I had a lot of friends that were there. I had a lot of people who were actually going to vote for Peter Tecklenburg. But after I gave my speech, they jumped ship on him. They said, there goes the fighter. And we're going to stick with the fighter. Let me go on, keep on reading, okay? Because the time is slipping past almost 9 o'clock, okay? He wrote, and I quote, one of the Democrats leaned forward in their chair and said, they're not just engaged, they're obsessed. Talking about these low country liberal ladies. This is bull. They've made protesting and stirring up mess. Now, that ain't what it read. That's another 4-letter word there, but stirring up mess. Their entire personality. Protesting and stirring up mess. That's their entire personality. It's not healthy. We all know the type. They don't even understand politics. He's saying that these are Democrats who came to him, the white racist bigot, MAGA. I don't even know what to describe him as. That they came to him to tell him all of this stuff that he's recording and putting down on paper. Talking about these ladies with no justification for what's being said. Because there ain't no justification. This is not them what's being told. It's just another lie from a liar, from a pathological liar. And he's trying to couch it to make it seem like it's from some Democrats. They don't even understand politics. That could have come directly out of his demented mind again. But listen, as far as me winning that election, I won by 3 votes. So if I had a posse in there, I should have won by a whole lot more than that, right? But I won by 3 votes, and I only won by 3 votes because it was after the people heard me speak. They did not go with Peter Tecklenburg because they heard me speak and they believed in what I said and they had hope at the end of my speech. And they said, we're going to vote for him. Whereas when I went in that room that day, that was not my room. That was not my room. I didn't bring in no posse or nothing like that. Everybody who was there was the same people that would have been there whether I was there or not there. Peter Tecklenburg had his chance to speak. I had my chance to speak. At the end of me speaking, they said, we voting for him. And out of all those votes that was cast, I got 3 more votes than he got. Not posse numbers, okay? Dems in the room decided I was the best fit for the job. Voting. It's the Democratic way. And apparently the way these what appears to be these ops, he wants to paint as these ops, Apparently the way that they wanted it was that Charleston County ordered and respected Democrat Peter Tecklenburg would have been the next county party leader. And Peter probably might have been a good leader. I don't know. But I got up, I spoke, I told the truth. And at the end of the day, I won by 3 votes. And I am the chair. And I don't care what no MAGA wannabe pathological liar. I don't care what he thinks or has to say. Or whether he invented this from other people or whether he didn't. If it is somebody in particular, I hope that they'll never find out, because there are rules within our county party that covers that type of behavior, all right? And it will be so, alrighty. See, that whole thing was set up, that selecting their leadership, that was according to an old rule that apparently our South Carolina Democratic Party looked at that thing again after that election and said, we need to stop doing that. This nominating committee thing, we need to stop doing that, okay? Because that's picking leadership, okay? And so they stopped doing, they changed the rules. They changed the rules. In the South Carolina Democratic rules, now under Section 6, subsection 1, letter E, it says nominating committees may not be used. What selected Peter Tecklenburg and that other slate last year and promoted them ahead of me and anybody else, they said we will not do that anymore. So if these are some other people, some Democrats who are coming to this MAGA Republican, let that sink in. Even the state party stopped to say, that ain't right. We need to change that rule, okay? Now, so now let me say this in closing, okay? If there are any Democrats who are aiding and abetting or in collusion with this racist piece of trash, it's no different than if you were sitting in the Oval Office on Trump's lap. I want you to get that in deep down in your soul. If there are any Democrats who are actually talking to or aiding this clown, it ain't no difference between you aiding him and aiding Donald Trump or Harvey Epstein or whoever, whatever them people's names is, okay? And if you trust him now, you know, because I read in this thing, he said that he told everybody that he wasn't going to record them and all of that. If you trust him, he was a darn fool, okay? December of 2020, okay, former Charleston City Councilman Harry Griffin, right? He trusted him, right? And he partnered up with them, with the white supremacists, with Bessenger and Corey Allen and Randall Horace, and they hosted a rally called the Charleston Tea Party Rally or something like that. And they brought the Proud Boys down to near Charleston City Hall, okay? But Griffin, right, the councilman, I guess he thought about it. He said, like, you know, because he had his picture on the flyer and all of that. He said, well, I better back out of this. That's just too much exposure and everything. So, and when he got caught, right, he lied about being associated with them. He said, no, I don't, that's not what I'm about. That's not what I'm about, you know. He lied at least until them same people that said that they wasn't recording him produced the audio recording him. Yeah. So if it is happening with any of these Democrats, and there's a link in the status. If there's anything happening with you Democrats who was told that you were not going to be recorded, you better believe that these people, he's a professional liar. And Harry Griffin thought that he wasn't recorded until he flipped on them, and then they flipped back on him and they sent the recording to the newspaper. And if you think he won't do that to you, keep it up. I got some beachfront property in Nevada for you. Okay, all righty. Now, all of this, okay? Yes, I stood with Mayor Greg Habib and Chief Roscoe a couple of weeks ago when they got Attorney Warren Willie, who's filing suit against Bessenger again for character assassination again, okay? I stood with Attorney Willie and with Mayor Habib and with Chief Roscoe, because I know the clown who they're suing. And I know it was a win the last time, and it's going to be a win this time. I saw him confused because Mayor Greg Habib is a Republican, and I'm not. But I'll stand with anybody, just as Malcolm said, who is willing to stop this deplorable condition that we're in. I'll stand with anybody, regardless of your political party. If it's right, it's right. And Carolina Courier, cackler, or whatever you are, you had no business doing that, man, and them people like that. And they're going to get you again. This is going to be the second time you lose a lawsuit. And one of these times you're going to wake up and say, I need to live right. I think I need to start acting right. I need to stop lying, treating people well. Maybe that's what make my life a lot better. But you're going to lose again, sir. And I'm saying that because he's on here, and he's steady commenting, which is all right. I'm good with that. But in closing, my last line. In an open letter, and this is a message to him and to all. I do have something else before I close, though. Maybe I better show this first before I do. This is something that he just released, okay? It's something that he just did. Can you see that? It says Low Country Liberal Ladies on there. And we have a bunch of children that he's dressed up and used in this thing. Autistic children, Down syndrome children. And let me start it up right quick, okay? Let me start it.
Where is my champagne? Where's my dime? Where's my diamond ring? Where is my gin and tonic? Where's my martini?
You see Low Country Liberal Ladies, you see right there? And you see at the bottom down here, it says Bessie 3556, right? Bessie 3556, right? That's Carolina Courier, right? Carolina Courier, Bessie 3556. This is his video using Down syndrome's children. People, despicable. And my friends, if you have been one of those who've been reading that trash that he puts out and you've been sharing it or talking to other people like it's a valid source, this is what you're supporting. And I hope that those people's family find out that they find out that and they sue him just like that mother did with them 2 black kids. Trash. James, I'm praying for you. I'm seriously praying for you. Because if you'll do something like that, there's no telling what you'll do. That's trash. I don't care whether they're in their 40s or not. He said they're in their 40s. I don't care whether they're or not. You misuse them. You misuse them in their disabilities. Nasty. I'm going to show it one more time so that you all just see it. Okay.
Where is my champagne?
Low Country Liberal Ladies, see?
Where's my diamond ring? Where is my gin and tonic? Where's my martini?
5 Down syndromes. People. Trash. My last statement is this. In an open letter written to Donald Trump, okay, these words were used, and they're so true, okay? And I'm going to say not just to Trump, but to Bessenger and Corey Allen and Randall Horace and Leah Watley and Matt Lieber and Tom Fernandez and so many others. These words are so true, and I do wish that you would take them to heart, okay? Racism is the last refuge people who have nothing else to offer. Last refuge of people who have nothing else to offer. Speaking about the good people like you and I, it said, no matter how hard you try, you will never have their grace, their dignity, their intelligence, or their humanity. You reach for insults because you cannot reach their level. No amount of hate will ever make you taller than their legacy, their beauty, or their brilliance. Mockery is all you have, because greatness is something you could never touch. I'm going to read that again. Racism is the last refuge of people who have nothing else to offer. Speaking about the good people like you and I, it said, no matter how hard you try, you will never have their grace, their dignity, their intelligence, or their humanity. You reach for insults because you cannot reach their level. No amount of hate will ever make you taller than their legacy, their beauty, or their brilliance. Last line. Mockery is all you have, because greatness is something you could never touch. Tyler Bessenger, I thank you for staying on here all this time. The Carolina cackling, respect. The Carolina Courier. Make that change, bro. Please, stop. You have an opportunity to better your life, to live out the rest of your days, whatever they are, as a man of peace and have peace in your heart. Whoever hurt you in your past, I'm so sorry for it. But if you keep attacking people around me, I have no other choice but to come after you. And I'm going to publish every time that I see your lies. Every time that somebody decides to sue you, I'm going to be right there in court, letting them know one big thing. A black man, a skinny president who liked to play basketball, had a funny name, said, yes, you can. Sue his pants off. And one of these times you're going to learn your lesson. To quit picking on people like that, like you some kind of bully, man. Ain't nobody scared of you. Period. Period. No, we can't have no original thought because you set the tone with lies. How can I have an original thought on somebody that lies? My mind don't think like that. My mind is not a liar's mind. Your mind is a liar's mind. And with that, thank you everyone who stayed on. Quite a few of you stayed on. Please share this out. All of the links are also right there in the status to the things that I've said today. So you know that I'm not lying or nothing like that. Unlike when he posts his stuff, he has no links to nothing. Okay. Nothing to verify anything. Nobody's names, nothing like that. Okay. So, but for me, I can't live like that. I have to live in the area of truth, in the realm of truth. Okay. And truth is what, and I'm not talking about truth social, because truth social is a lie in itself. But in the realm of truth, there's peace. And I have peace. And I've said what needed to be said tonight. That clown used those Down syndromes. He says they're grown people. Okay, well, so what? They still have disabilities. And you used them. Why you just didn't put the lipstick on yourself and use yourself? Or your family members? Why you didn't do that? No. Same way you ain't put the Confederate flags on your people. Took a little 7 and 8 year old. Whose mother didn't even know what you was doing. Key that. All right, folks, I love you all. It's the pastor. It's been a long one. That's an hour and 12 minutes, almost an hour, 15 minutes, a lot longer than what I had planned. But listen, take care. Take care. I love you all. Again, no matter what happens, no matter what goes on, I'm always going to be right here with you as long as you stand on the right side of love. Because that's the only thing that we have. That's the only thing that we can really hinge on. It was said? What was it said? Oh, somebody recognize that? I know it's backwards. I know it's backwards. But y'all recognize that. Y'all know what it says. It says the only thing more powerful than hate is love. Y'all take care. This is the pastor. I'm out. I love you all so much. Have a wonderful day. Peace.